Trisha Paytas is currently being cancelled for probably the 1000th time on the internet. Seriously, Trisha's been cancelled so much it's hard to keep track. But over the years there have been a lot of celebrities that have tried to warn us about Trisha, and it seems that now they turned out to be right. I'm Mackenzie, and let's get into the celebrities who tried to warn us about Trisha Paytas. But first, make sure to subscribe if you're new here. First up, we got Gabby Hanna. Gabby Hanna and Trisha Paytas have been feuding for months now, and the internet was pretty firmly on Trisha's side throughout, until Gabby's most recent video, where she exposed the truth. The feud between these two started after Gabby told Jason, Trisha's boyfriend at the time, that they had an incurable STD. If you know what it is, you know. And after this, Trisha uploaded a video calling Gabby out, called Why I Don't Trust Gabby Hanna. Since then, the two have been going back and forth over who's right. A big point of contention between the two was the question of if the pair were ever friends before the fight. Gabby claims that they were friends, but Trisha claims that they were not. In Gabby's most recent video, called A Timeline of the Friendship That Didn't Exist, a Trisha Paytas love story, Gabby details the years-long friendship the two had. Even at one point, Trisha texted Gabby saying that they need to take a picture the next time that they hang out because Trish was, quote, tired of the internet not knowing we're friends. Which clearly shows that Trisha was a lot more friendly with Gabby than she let on. And Trisha was the one gaslighting Gabby after all. Next up, we got Ethan Klein. The relationship between Trisha and Ethan started when Ethan made a video comparing influencers on Instagram to how they looked in reality. And one of the people that he roasted in the video was Trisha. He even made a point to call them, quote, the spokesperson for Instagram versus reality. After feuding for months online, they decided to become friends and create the Frenemies podcast. All while Trisha was dating Hila, Ethan's wife's brother Moses. I know it's hard to follow. And during the life of the podcast, Ethan exposed Trish on multiple occasions. Ethan has called out Trisha numerous times for making anti-Semitic comments on the podcast on multiple occasions, and even though Trisha claims that they're joking, Ethan doesn't think so and he doesn't like the jokes. Also, during one episode of the podcast when the pair were having a fight, Trisha exposed that Ethan struggled with a pill addiction many years ago, and that's something that he never spoke about online before that, and he wanted to remain a secret. And lastly, Trisha would somewhat make fun of him for his Tourette's. Ethan brought up multiple times how he doesn't like when Trisha does this, but they still continue to bring up his tics. Philip DeFranco. Trisha started a one-sided feud with news YouTuber Philip DeFranco for absolutely no reason. Trisha would constantly bring up Phil during podcasts with Ethan because Trish knew that Ethan and Hila were friends with Phil and would defend him. In segments of their podcast, Trish called Phil DeFranco egotistical, said his podcast sucked, and called him overweight on many occasions. For someone that claims to be so body positive, it was shocking to hear the things that Trish was saying about Phil's weight. At one point, Trisha brought up that Phil had gained weight and made Ethan agree that Phil had let himself go. They even claimed at one point that Phil changed his camera angle to deceive viewers and act like he was slimmer than he actually is. This constant ridicule of Phil started an alleged fight between Ethan and Phil, who had been friends for years before Trish, but thankfully they're on better terms now. The DID community. Back in March of 2020, Trisha got into a feud with a dissociative identity disorder or DID YouTuber after Trisha claimed that they had DID. This was revealed in a video Trish uploaded called Meet My Alters, showcasing 5 of their alters with all their different names. After posting the video, Trish was instantly met with backlash from the DID community for self-diagnosing and spreading misinformation. In a follow-up video, Paytas tried to convince everyone that their DID was real. And in a video eating a spicy chicken sandwich, Trish took a bite out of the sandwich, put it back in the bag, and one of their alters took over. They're shocked when someone else took a bite out of the sandwich. Many YouTubers in and out of the DID community called out Trish. YouTuber Anthony Padilla even spoke out about it and said, quote, claiming you have DID is not a cool excuse to mock people in the community and call them crazy. Next up, we have Nick Ocado Avocado. This is one of Trisha's most memorable feuds, where she was exposed for being a blatant liar with receipts. Basically, Nick was a huge fan of Trisha's, and when he was still small on the platform, Trish reached out to him to collab. He agreed and even said that he was going to be flying from Colombia to LA for some collabs, and gave Trish the exact dates that he was going to be in town. And Nick told Trish the dates he was flying in on multiple occasions. However, when Nick landed in LA and asked when they were going to meet up, Trish totally ghosted him, and he never heard from them again. After he came back from LA, Nick exposed Trish on his channel in a video called Exposing Trisha Paytas with Receipts. Trish ended up responding that they never intended to collab with Nick, and it wasn't a set plan, just something that they were talking about. But from the DMs Nick shared, we know that is not true. So just to summarize, Trish asked Nick Ocado to collab, he agreed, and they set a date, and when he was in town, Trish ghosted. Next up, Nikita Dragon. Nikita Dragon is one of the most recent influencers to call out Trisha for their past problematic behavior, and the pair has been feuding for months because of it. It all started when Nikita was promoting her upcoming reality TV show on Snapchat, and Trisha mocked the fact that the show was going to be on Snapchat. After the two got into a back and forth tiff, Nikita tweeted, quote, Trisha Trisha, haven't you done enough to the trans community? There's no need to downplay mine or any trans women's accomplishments. Happy Trans Day of Visibility. After some more back and forth, Nikita also brought up the fact that Trisha hit Moses in the past, as well as bringing up Trisha's past use of blackface. Kemstar even chimed in at one point, giving Nikita even more fuel against Trish. Ryland Adams. At the start of 2021, a massive feud erupted between Jeffree and Trisha because Jeffree's hairstylist Hair by Jay was exposed for saying hurtful things about Trish. After this was exposed, Ryland and Shane somehow got mixed up in the drama because they're best friends and business partners with Jeffree Star. And Trish was hoping the pair would cut off Jeffree after things got exposed about Jay. After Trish made multiple videos trashing Shane and Ryland decided to address it on his podcast, The Sit. In that portion of the show, Ryland is really respectful to Trish and validates all their feelings about the situation. He also makes a point to not talk badly about them, but rather give his side of the story and tell his audience that he wants to address it offline. However, Trish responded by hating on him even more and bringing even more drama to the internet, a clear pattern of behavior. Next up, we have Trisha Paytas themselves. The person that's exposed the most about Trish over the years is easily themselves. Trish has been on YouTube for over a decade. This means there's plenty of problematic behavior on there to expose them for. Trish has been called out for doing blackface, saying the N-word, and speaking negatively about immigrants. There is literally so much more, but I think these are the things they get called out for the most. Trisha's always played it off as trolling and claims that they're never serious when saying outrageous things. Basically, everything Trish does is for attention. Trisha always apologizes for the mistakes that they make, but at some point talk is cheap, and viewers need to see a real change in behavior. Next up, Jeffree Star. Jeffree and Trisha went at it during the Hair by Jay drama. Trisha accused Jeffree of money shaming her and making fun of her skin, along with other things. Jeffree also allegedly made a comment about the fact that Trisha was renting her home instead of buying one. In response to all the things Trisha was saying at the time, Jeffree decided to respond. He made a video in the midst of the drama called "I Got Cancelled Again, So I Had a $200,000 Shopping Spree." In the bio of that video, it said, quote, "Instead of talking about the millionth false rumor to hit the internet, I'm excited to unravel my custom, one-of-a-kind, pink Louis Vuitton monogram shoe trunk. Contrary to popular belief and slander, I don't money shame anyone, and we all know I've come from literally nothing." Then in a tweet later about the situation, Jeffree urged people to not put words in his mouth, and just because Jay said nasty things about Trish doesn't mean that Jeffree did. Next up, we got Kemstar. Drama Alert host Kemstar has been feuding with Trish on and off for years, and because Kem talks about influencer news and drama on his channel, he's talked about Trisha on multiple occasions, specifically their scandals and problematic behavior. And to make his dislike of Trisha very clear, Kem has even involved Trisha in his ongoing feud with H3's Ethan Klein. Kem tweeted out December of 2020 that Ethan had the worst year ever. One of his points was, quote, "Now Trisha Paytas is his sister-in-law. I legitimately feel sorry for him. Ethan, if you see this, I hope you have a much better 2021. Kem was of course being sarcastic, and Kem thinks being family with Trisha is the worst punishment a person can have. So that's all for the list, guys. Let me know your thoughts below, but before I go, I'm gonna shout out some comments from a video on age gap relationships part 2. DMC said, "I see no problem with age gaps in couples as long as it's legal and they have the right attitude and emotions for it. My great aunt and uncle had at least 20 years gap, and they were very devoted, loving couple, so sweet to see together." Yeah, I completely agree with that. Then Mr. Nobody said, "I'm saving up for a robot boyfriend that will never age." Yeah, I mean, that's probably coming soon. What's that movie with Joaquin Phoenix that he did that? I'm blanking, but her, yeah. That's coming soon. It's very, very scary. Then saying, Leon said, "Beautiful and gorgeous Mackenzie, my favorite host, is hosting again." Thank you so much. It means a lot. Alright guys, that's all for the video today. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you made it all the way here, if you liked the video and want to see more, make sure to like and sub to the channel below. I've been your host, Mackenzie Smith. Make sure to check us out on social media, and I'll catch you all in the next one.